I'll have to share this one on YouTube. It's sad and amusing at the same time when you think that 8 million people are trapped in an organization called the Watchtower. But most of them coming in now, the young blood, have no clue that this Watchtower is built on a house of sand. They have no idea of the former originators of this so-called society. This video is called Al Capone versus Judge Rutherford. So in the blue corner we have Al Capone, and in the red corner Judge Rutherford. A bit like the Floyd Merriweather fight, yeah. Let's read this through. Al Capone gained his power by exploiting the weaknesses of people. Judge Rutherford gained his power by exploiting the weaknesses of people. Criminality. Al Capone lived and acted like a king using his own money. Judge Rutherford lived and acted like a king using everybody else's money. In 1923, before the Great Depression, Al Capone bought a very nice house on a small plot of land for $500. The start of the Great Depression in 1929, that's 6 years later, Judge Rutherford had a mansion built for not $5,500 like Al Capone, but for $25,000. Excluding the 100 acres of land he possessed around the home. As soon as his mansion was built, Rutherford bragged he was offered $75,000 for it. Al Capone eventually had 2 homes, including a 4,000 square foot mansion in Florida. Judge Rutherford eventually had 5 homes, including 5,000 plus square foot mansions in California, a luxury apartment in Manhattan worth millions today, a home on Staten Island, and a residence in Germany. Looks like Rutherford's winning the fight here, doesn't it, folks? Just check if this is coming across. Okay. Al Capone was one of the very few elite rich people who bought a 1930 V16 Cadillac. And that car cost between $5,400 and $9,200, and that was during the Great Depression. A new Ford that year was only $600, which means one could buy about 15 new Ford automobiles for the cost of that one Cadillac. Judge Rutherford was one of the very few elite rich people who did not own one of those V16 Cadillacs. He owned 2 of them. Al Capone had 1 yacht. Judge Rutherford had 2 yachts. The finances of Al Capone's citywide empire were known to no one but himself and his accountant. The finances of Judge Rutherford's worldwide empire were known to no one but himself and his accountant. Ooh. So, Al Capone lived with his wife and his son. Judge Rutherford would not live with his wife and his son, or even visit them, or cause them to visit him. Al Capone had at least 1 mistress. Judge Rutherford had at least 1 mistress. Al Capone was very close to his son Sonny. Now, Judge Rutherford's son Malcolm despised his father and wouldn't even attend his father's funeral. Al Capone smuggled illegal whiskey and sold it. Judge Rutherford smuggled illegal whiskey and drank it. Al Capone got all his money illegally, but Judge Rutherford got all his money immorally. Al Capone did not pay enough taxes on his ill-gotten fortune. Judge Rutherford did not pay any taxes on his ill-gotten fortune. Criminality. Al Capone assassinated his enemies, bumped the mafia. Judge Rutherford assassinated the character of his enemies. Remember when Russell died, he kicked out most of the board of the Bible students. Al Capone sold a tangible product which gave value and cheer for those who drank alcohol. Judge Rutherford sold failed promises which had virtually no value of cheer and gave only disappointment and bitterness for those who believed him. Just checking if this is going up. Yeah, sometimes the YouTube cuts off. I lost my place now. Right. Al Capone never claimed to exclusively represent the interests of God. Judge Rutherford always claimed to exclusively represent the interests of God. Al Capone had personal bodyguards. Judge Rutherford had personal bodyguards. Al Capone always travelled first class. Judge Rutherford always travelled first class. Al Capone never wrote any worthless books. Judge Rutherford wrote dozens of worthless books. Remember, he said he talked to angels because the Holy Spirit had gone to sleep, and he produced this Rainbow series in a book called Angels. Yeah, you were talking to demons, Rutherford. Al Capone was not an alcoholic. Judge Rutherford was a first-class alcoholic. Al Capone's friends attended his funeral. Judge Rutherford had no friends. Al Capone never incited people into riots. Judge Rutherford incited thousands of people into riots. In fact, he was responsible for the persecution of JWs in Germany because of his anti-Jewish propaganda. You don't know that, do you, JWs? Al Capone once had a charity that helped the poor. Now, Judge Rutherford never had any charity for the poor. He spent his life doing his best to make and keep everyone associated with him in a poor state. Al Capone never spent months of his time visiting Europe. Judge Rutherford spent 4 months of every year visiting Europe. Al Capone bluffed his whole life, but at least he didn't brag about it. Judge Rutherford bluffed his whole life, and he bragged about it. Al Capone scorned and disobeyed the laws of the land. Judge Rutherford scorned and disobeyed the law of the land. No one dared to question the orders of Al Capone. No one dared to question the orders of Judge Rutherford. Al Capone got syphilis brought on by his sexual exploits. Judge Rutherford got colon cancer brought on by his alcohol excesses. Al Capone lost his family due to his syphilis. Judge Rutherford lost his sanity without any outside help whatsoever. Or maybe the demons. Al Capone paid his dozens of workers handsomely. Rutherford didn't pay his tens of thousands of workers squat diddly squat. Al Capone did not hate and vilify the government that gave and protected his freedoms. Rutherford spent his entire life hating and vilifying the same government that protected his freedoms. Okay, JWs. There's the history of what your house is built on. Judge for yourself who won that fight as the greatest rogue. May common sense lead you to the right decision. Shalom.